Okay, so we've built a way for React to be able to get at the data. We built a route in .NET, and I just noticed my server's still running. I'll stop that. So now let's go over to the React side, and how do we access the data? Now, I wouldn't expect you to know exactly how to set this up, but I would expect you to have the idea in your head of how you need to do it. You might need to go look up the syntax, but I sure hope that we have a feel now for going and we need to go use the effect to go grab the data from the server. And so I'll do that. We're going to use effect, which I just realized we didn't ever import our use state. So if we hover over this quick fix, we can add import there for use state, and then we'll do the same thing for use effect. Now, or you can just type them in from the beginning, obviously, import use effect, use state from React. All right, so we say use effect, and then we use the little arrow function, right, to build what's going to happen when the use effect occurs. And so we're going to build first a const that we can go fetch the whatever we want to call it. We already used fetch projects for the other one. I'm going to call this one fetch categories. Categories. And that's going to be equal to an async command where we go and fetch. Let's see. So I've got here some braces. And then we want to, hang on. I'm getting mixed up. I'm doing two different things. Let me do thing one first. This is my bad. I think I'm going to a new strategy today where I'm not going to start over again. You're getting the real deal. So for better or for worse. So let me back up just a step. So yes, we do want to do this. No, I was right. I was on track. It was the const response that comes next. So const response equals await fetch, and then we go put in the path for the fetch, right? And so in our case, the path is going to be what? Let's go make sure we have it right. So if I do it, I just close this. I don't know why. So if I say .NET, and we're just going to do the watch run and let this thing just go. I'm kind of digging this voice, actually. I don't know if it sounds that much different on the recording as it does in real life, but it's a good deep voice. All right, so we pull this up. And on the localhost 5000, if I go out to my get project types, I don't find anything. Why not? Because I need to have also the name of the controller. And so the name of the controller in our case is just water. .NET ignores the controller part. It knows it's a controller. So we just say water. So here I would need to say water / get project types. And when I do that, it goes into the list, it gets the distinct entries, and builds us a little list that we can go pull from now. All right, so this is what's being served. Now, what I've found is just where students make a lot of typos, and not just students, we all do. I make a lot of typos too. It's easier if once we have this great path set up, let's take advantage and copy it. And then that's what we'll use in our project to drop this in. So quote, drop that in, quote. Now we don't have any typos. All right, so we've made the call to go get the data, and that's coming into a const called response. We're going to take then, once that's done, and set the const data equal to await, and then we're going to await to go grab from that response that we received the JSON. Let's go get the JSON out of it. And then once we have that JSON, we can call our set categories method and go pass it what has come out of this statement. So we've gone into the response that was requested. We've grabbed the JSON and we've put that into a variable called data. Then we can just pass in the data. We can set categories equal to data. All right, very good. And then as part of this process, you'll remember, because we're using useEffect, the second part of this is to put in our little dependency array. And so in there, I'm going to say, after that brace, comma, and then empty array for now until we start adding more data in. We'll fill that in a minute. So it'll watch for changes in specific variables. So we'll just leave that for a minute. But then what I want to do inside here is, after I've set up this const called fetch categories, I actually want to call fetch categories to run. All right, inside the useEffect. Perfect. So again, just recapping, what's it not liking here? Can't find the name. Async. Why would it not find? Oh, you got to spell it right. Haha. You were all seeing it. I was not. Okay, so there we go. So const fetch categories async. So this is a function that we're setting up, and it's called fetch categories. This function goes out, grabs the response, it goes and strips the JSON out of it and puts it into something called data, and then we call the set categories to go put that data in there. This is all one function, and then I'm going to call that function anytime we detect a change here. And we're going to go populate this array with what we're looking for changes in to be able to recall this. Now, the thing I was going to mention earlier that we haven't covered yet is something called a try-catch statement. This is error handling. If there's an error, we don't just want the program to crash like you've had happen to you. And so, on apps or whatever, it just shuts down. We don't want that. And so we want to catch errors. And one thing that we didn't cover in C# that you will see as we run these different programs is a try-catch block, we call it. And so in here, as part of this function, I can enclose with this these actions I'm trying to do. I can enclose these inside a try. And then if we get an error, I can make a response for that. So I can say, if we get an error in there, then we're going to catch it. And this is what we're going to do if we get an error. I am going to go to the console and print out the error, and then say there was an error fetching the categories, and then print out whatever the error was. And so now, if I get an error, let's see. Oh, sorry, I missed something. So on the catch, we want to receive whatever the error was, and then we're going to print out that error. And so this is a very common thing we see in programming in the world of error handling, and it's not liking because I don't have a return. Let me get rid of the return for a minute. Let me put something in the return for a minute so we can get this to format right. We'll return a paragraph that says hi. All right. Now everybody's happy. So what this has done now, that our indentation is right, is we are trying this stuff, and if we get an error, right now we're just printing out the error to the log, but that helps us. We can also do things like in the, as we get the data, we can go to the console.log and say little notes to ourselves. So we can say, hey, here we fetched the categories. And I don't know how much you've done with this in other programming languages, but hopefully this is not a completely foreign concept to you. And then pass in the data that we receive so we can see what it is. And this error logging helps us as we go through. And so these try-catch blocks are nice whenever we're doing something that could potentially break the program, to say, put it inside a try and then have a catch. Now the catch in this case, like I said, is printing out to the console, but we could just as easily have a catch that prints out something to the user or posts something on the screen. Says call this number with this error message. And so whatever it is, we can use try-catch blocks to help us in our programming to make sure we don't just crash out, as my kids say constantly. Okay? All right. With that, Spencer out.